many poets and musicians and philosophers and mathematicians have spent their time. River.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here with us. So, I'm Nathan and I'm one of the CM of River team. I'm Austin, I'm the other CM and I go to University of Wisconsin.
My name is Vivian, I'm one of the structural engineers that study at Stanford.
My name is Michael, I'm the last financial manager of this team from University in Weimar.
Myself Vikas, and I'm responsible for the MEP, and I'm from Danish Technical University.
I'm Sylvia, architect from Poland.
I'm Belle, the other structural engineer from Stanford.
Before to start our journey, we wanted to thank our owner who has been a meeting in the last 4 months and helped us a lot in our process. Let's speak about our location. We are located in Weimar. It was step by step. We actually increased our amount of meeting and our collaboration during the weeks of our project. Alright, so before we get into our building, we just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of the transparency challenges that we presented last week. So our team developed a definition of transparency that defined 3 key levels: self, team, and owner transparency. We really wanted to try and find some metric and KPI that could actually affect each level instead of a weekly basis updating each other. We'd always go and understand what everyone's doing. However, this didn't have a connection to performance. We couldn't really do anything with it, so we added a couple few layers to it. So the first was color coding, and this was based on a latency scale, whether if you updated on the day of, within 24 hours, or 24 hours or more, in a green, yellow, and red key. We also connected our meetings with mentors and subgroups, and connected our pull plan. You can see down here on the blue line that once we actually implemented this color scheme, our member number 1 increased their response rate in a lot, and also with this, it helped us understand tendencies within our team. Some people were a very daily task member. They would update it on a daily basis. However, some members would be every other day, maybe every 3 days. So it helped us understand the work ethic and how often each of us works on each part of this project. Here we can see a cumulative value of how our team used this metric and how it transitioned through the semester. So one thing to point out on the top, this is just every single member of our team, is that in the end, none of us ended up with a negative metric. And this is very important to us because if you can see here, this was about winter presentation. And there was about 2 members who were kind of struggling with it, and that was because we kind of were overdoing the amount. And this color scheme, our member number 1 increased their response rate in a lot. And also with this, it helped us understand tendencies within our team. Some people were a very daily task member. They would update it on a daily basis. However, some members would be every other day, maybe every 3 days. So it helped us understand the work ethic and how often each of us works on each part of this project. Here we can see a cumulative value of how our team used this metric and how it transitioned through the semester. So one thing to point out on the top, this is just every single member of our team, is that in the end, none of us ended up with a negative metric. And this is very important to us because if you can see here, this was about winter presentation. And there was about 2 members who were kind of struggling with decisions from them. But they told us it was a lot of text, they couldn't really visualize everything. So then we transitioned to a very simple metric of pros and cons in our team discussion with some visualizations. And our owners gave very good feedback that this allowed them to actually get right to the point and make simple decisions about either a yes or a no. However, our weekly updates with our owners, they felt it was a little too far between. And we actually had one owner integrate into our Slack. However, I think I'm getting the quote right. Waking up every day was miserable because he had about 300 notifications that he didn't really need to read, but he did when he was. So we tried to find a middle ground there by implementing a daily dashboard that actually you can see in the daily diary so that they can actually see it at their own pace. And this could be on a website, this could be on an app like seen here. Also, you can see the poll plan activities. And finally, just a general update date on just how each member is. So we felt this was very clear, a nice balance, and our owners really enjoyed this level of information sharing. Through this process, however, we actually found out that there is no one-size-fits-all metric, because each level, self, team, and owner seeks different benefits through transparency. So with the daily diary dashboard integration, we really let them do it at their own pace, at their own level of knowledge sharing, and really focus on these 2 or these 6 per each level.
We now would like to invite you to our beautiful site. It's, as we mentioned before, located in Weimar. On this panorama, you can see the historic castle as well as the park, and our site is highlighted in green. I'm studying there, and especially during the summer season, the locals, students especially, as well as our tourists, really appreciate to enjoy the riverside and the park and the old city of Weimar. And yeah, we're often having barbecues. Our project is based on a PPP contract. So we as a company are responsible for fulfillment of a public task with a duration of 25 years. That means that we are responsible for designing, financing, constructing, as well as operating and maintenance our building. We have 2 goals. The first is to offer a high quality building as well as being profitable over the duration of 25 years.
We can see more in detail here our building and our site, and we can see here the main point of interest around it. Besides the fact that we are in a UNESCO World Heritage Site, we have other 2 main challenges for our site. The first one is that we are located in a park, and so we have a lot of site limitations. The second one is that we are really close to a river, and so we will have some problem with the flooding. And this one is some climate data for our site. As you can see here, the different peaks of temperature will require the MVP to actually heat and cool our building. And also we have the rainfall and snowfall data, so we have maximum rainfall in June, while we have snowfall maximum in January. For us, as a CM, it would be really important, and it was really important for us to understand that and change our schedule to actually deal with those problems. Another climate data that was important for us was the wind analysis. We have 61 kilometers per hour from southwest in our building, so this affected a lot of the structural design.
So just to recap, so during the winter quarter, we worked on 2 big ideas in tandem and parallel, and so one was the ripple shown here, and the other was the link shown here. And so we got together as an owner and design team and did a decision matrix to decide on which one we would pursue going forward. And so the ripple was the timber structural option, one for us, and so that was what we decided to progress with in the spring quarter and further refine. However, we really liked one of our big design ideas that came out of the link, and that was this idea of learning from Bauhaus in the school of the building. And so we wanted to do a modern interpretation of that. That was basically more like a modern factory or a makerspace. And so that was something we decided to try and implement into the ripple idea. And so basically combining both alternatives going into the spring.
As our building looks into the future, we realized we have to really think about how sustainable it has to be. We thought about responsibility, and we wanted to approach this on 3 different aspects: social, environmental, and economic. And this is the holistic approach we wanted to integrate. We developed sustainability framework, and we established 4 different levels of integration. First one is integration with nature, the park, river, plants, and people, so that it all acts as one ecosystem. And we wanted to expand our impact. We also wanted to reach out to the community and the university.
So again, as I mentioned before, this is a university building, but we feel like its place within the community also is just as important. And so we wanted to not only create an architectural landmark for the skyline or the riverfront, but we also wanted to foster meaningful connections between the community and university students. So that was what our level 3 was. And then finally, our level 4 is our global level. And so as an international team ourselves, we think it's integral for any discussion on sustainability and have a global perspective. And so for us, we really do that through our PPP contract. So this is an innovative contract that we have the opportunity to work with. And so we basically wanted to use this project to develop a sustainable and more holistic understanding of a PPP contract that could actually be applied to other sites and adapted, allowing for further sustainability to grow beyond our own building. And so shown here, and what we handed out to you is the legend for our sustainability metric that we'll be referencing throughout the presentation. And so if you see any of these 4 levels in the screen corner, that means that we're linking in to our sustainability, which is something that as a design team we thought was crucial throughout the entire process.
So during the kickoff, when we got familiar with the site, we invented our big idea, which is the reform. So one of our main goals was to minimize the negative impact we're going to have on the historic, beautiful surroundings, but at the same time bring new value, so create positive long-term impact. We also want our building to integrate with nature by adapting to changing surroundings, so we can get benefits from it. Due to the respect we have to the park we're in, we want to treat it as an ecosystem that we want to be part of. So we want to give back the green that we're taking away from the park. We also want to create a community that will ripple out the knowledge, so our building has more positive impact.
In the beginning, we started off working as individual disciplines, and we didn't really know how to collaborate. This really affected the strength of our big idea and the quality of our design. Slowly, we started to communicate more, but that wasn't enough to fully explore the potential of our team. Some disciplines were still excluded from the beginning, as at that point, it seemed like their input was not needed. Finally, everybody got involved, and we were able to truly collaborate as a multidisciplinary team. This immediately brought more value into our project, and we were able to implement tools to engage everybody on the team. And from that point on, our team only grew stronger, and we were able to better understand how to work effectively together towards our goal.
As we said before, one of our main challenges was the flooding problem due to the river next to our building. So what we did first, we first gathered the data of the last 9 years of the flood environment. After doing that, we realized that our building was going to be built in 2025, and the lifespan of the building was going to be at least 50 years. So what we decided to do was to actually forecast the expected level of the flood in 60 years. By using different kind of trend lines, so like for example linear or exponential, we found out that the worst case scenario was that the flooding was going to reach 30 centimeters above our ground floor. Due to the consideration, because we wanted to consider climate changes and also having like some safety factor, we decided to actually protect our building 1 meter above our ground level. And this is actually how we mitigate the damage from flooding. So first of all, it's important to say that we actually didn't want to stop the water to reach our building. As Renata always said, like water will always find a way. So what we decided to do was 2 main things. The first one, we decided to create to build our first meter above our ground floor in concrete, and the second was to raise every electrical system component.
Another major discussion that had to take place was our structural grid. And so initially, we started by trying to impose structural grid onto a pre-existing architectural program that was not working. And so we took a step back as a design team and really tried to be radical in our thinking. And so we proposed a whole new set of grids. And from that, that more fully integrated AEC and MEC from the beginning. And so from that, we ended up choosing a radial grid, which is shown, the finalized form is shown here. And so this allowed us to have modularity without having the structure look segmented or prefabricated.
And naturally, going from this grid to the design process, we created a focal point where people can gather and interact. It was very important for us as we wanted to create good environments for innovative studying and learning. But also, because of our site, we really wanted to connect to the outside world. We are right next to the river. That's why opening views was very important for us, and it helped us with many decisions. We wanted to invite the park inside our building and incorporate it in our design. And we got inspired with the idea of biophilia that integrates greenery in indoor environment. It helps to decrease stress. It also creates better air quality, and it integrates people with the building and nature. So everything goes around that wall. This is the flow of our building. And in that area, we also introduce a lot of daylight, as we want to integrate with the sun and save the energy. So also the decisions on the exterior shell, as well as orientation of the building, were also determined by the sun. We didn't treat the facade the same way, and we really looked into what benefits we can get from it. That's why on the south side, that's following the sun path, we placed the adaptive facade that will allow us to create better indoor environment as well as reduce energy. Also views to the outside were important factor when we're trying to place our building and orient it on our side.
We reached carrying capacity at approximately 1.5 meters below grade. However, due to our high water table and risk of flooding, special attention was given to the hydrostatic force and its interaction with our building. We chose these micropiles because they allow easier drilling given our site with high water table. They also lead to minimal environmental impact, including noise pollution and ground disturbances. And lastly, they can act as tie gaps as we're excavating down to the bearing capacity.
So shown here is clear just to some of the major loads on our structural system, and really special attention should be given to our green roof because we had to carry this all the way down through our entire vertical load path, especially over our auditorium with this long stand. So shown here is just some 3D section cuts to give you a better understanding of the major structural moves within the building. And then this is the stacked 3D floor plan. And something to keep in mind, what Ethan already brought up, was the flooding was a major concern for us, and we wanted a big part of sustainability is durability and not having to replace things. And so we actually ended up deciding that the simplest solution was probably the most sustainable, and so that was to just use a more durable material like concrete, really focus on the connection between that and CLT, and then slowly transition to the CLT above, so that we have the minimal number of trades and connections working on the upper level, but maximum durability within our floodplain.
Let's talk about the AEC system. These are pretty standard values for a class A indoor air temperatures. Like in summers we have to maintain 24 degrees Celsius, and in winters we have to maintain 22 degrees Celsius, and the relative humidity of 55 plus minus 10%. And because it's a university building, the noise has to be controlled under 45 dB. And as far as the heating and cooling system is concerned, we are going for radiant heating and cooling. And because of the biophilia that we have mentioned, we are going for one to desiccant based centralized ventilation system. So a lot of energy saving methodologies have been introduced in here. We are using R50 vacuum-based insulation panels, which are like 2 inches thick, but they have an insulation of R50, and heat mirror glasses for the top facade, and like the collaborative decision between architecture and structure, like adaptable facade and cantilever. They also have just in like limiting the solar gates. And because it's a university building, there will be a lot of occupancy exchange and transfer between many places. So this has also been considered in various schedules of our simulation. And this is our shaft, and it's centrally located near the circulation space, and it has everything that we need, and it's 4 meter by 1 meter. All the centralized ventilation ducts, all the pipes, thermal pipes, and even a 300 mm by 100 mm of cable tray, it has been included. And this is the crux of our whole planning, because probably this is the only challenge that we had in our building. We can't go above 30 feet, we can't go below, because we have a very shallow water table. So we actually created this floor sandwich. Here we are getting a 2.5 meter height in the corridor spaces and a 3.1 meter space in the occupied spaces like offices for the faculties.
So because of our economic sustainability, we paid special attention to the biggest spaces in our building, such as large classrooms. We didn't want to leave them unoccupied when there's no lecture inside. That's why we provided glass that gets transparent when nobody is there, when there's no lecture, so that students can sit there and treat it as an integration space with amazing view to the river.
Again, so because the connection to the site was very important to us on our ground floor, we really tried to be careful with where we placed our CLT and where we placed our glue lamp columns. And so we really tried to locate our glue lamp columns along the perimeter of the structure so that we wouldn't block any views. Another key move was how we decided to deal with our auditorium. And so we originally had it fully in CLT and then only half in CLT, but both those solutions either were unsymmetric or were inefficient in their use of CLT material. And so we ended up doing with an alternating pattern that allowed us to be efficient material, but also have symmetry still.
For ground floor MEP, we divided our ground floor on like 2 various zones for radiant heating and cooling. And you can see the ducting is pretty weird because of unconventional shape of the building. We decided to move our whole MEP system, mechanical system to the roof because of the risk of the floods. But we still kept our electrical room on the ground floor, but we raised our panels by 1 meter to avoid any kind of situation in floods, but to give an access to the emergency services.
On the first floor, on the north side of the building, we provided student niches. This is the most quiet space with the view of the castle, where students can go and really focus, working by themselves or in groups of just 2 people. So it's like very quiet space where they can use it to work.
And so building off of that, our building actually vertically and horizontally cantilevers out from our central auditorium, or ripples volumetrically, as we like to call it. And that was a key move for us structurally, but also architecturally, because that creates these kind of smaller, interesting spaces on this side that the niches were then used for. But it also self-balances itself, so we do have angled columns, so this helps reduce the load we have to carry on them.
Because of the cantilever involved on the first floor, we had to insulate the complete extended part of the structures because it was being treated as a very huge thermal bridge. And the auditorium is double height, so we are doing all the ventilation from this room.
So as we talked about creating the focal point of our building, we proposed a big collaborative space right in the center that's going to allow for some informal meetings and gatherings of groups of students.
So about that central space, we originally had it, we switched from our CLT to columns, but we actually did a VR walkthrough with our owners, and everyone was dissatisfied with it. It actually ended up creating a lot of confusion. So we ended up continuing the CLT panels up from the auditorium below, which not only was simpler to construct and better for the structural system, it also created more of a visual separation that was actually helpful in defining the space. And so again, for us, this was a great learning experience because it showed that you can get your owners into a building early, when we as a design team could actually still make this quite major change. But in the end, our owners were more happy and our structural system was simplified.
For the collaborative space, we had an issue that how is it going to be, we are going to maintain various indoor parameters, like what if there are just 2 students and we have to like start the whole system. But here we are using VAV-based ventilation system so that it can cater to any occupancy under certain needs.
So if you remember, one of our goals was to really give back the green to the park. That's why we created the green roof. And the roof was an interesting story of collaboration between architect community and structural engineers. As I wanted to maximize the green roof, but at the same time we wanted to produce energy using PV panels. And that's when we really collaborated and came up with a compromise solution.
Yeah, so the structural standing between the MEP and the architect basically kind of said, well, what if we did it so how we wanted it, which was we wanted to locate the PV on our longest cantilever because it's significantly lighter than the green roof. And that actually worked out really well because the coach actually said that would be the best for his sun exposure. And so in that sense is how we came up with this final distribution of locating the heavier green roof over our more just traditional vertical load path, and then on the cantilever part, the lighter PV panels.
Here, as we mentioned before, we have a mechanical room on the roof, and here is the shop that I mentioned previously. And we have all our HVAC system, high-tech systems here, and like you can see the chillers, electric hot water generators, our centralized desiccant-based ventilation system, and the primary pumps. And the only thing that's outside is the dry cooler.
Our ETAS analysis shows that at ultimate and service state, our consumptions are within the allowable limit. Furthermore, our stresses are also small on our CLT slabs. Maximum shear and moment are also acceptable even at our largest cantilever location. After discussing it with our architect, we have decided to add bracing at this location in order to reduce deflection. This is an example of how we use structural analysis to identify problems and then collaborated across disciplines to solve the problem.
So moving into some of our connection details, for our typical framing, we wanted to rely on something from NAP, which is an Austrian-based company, but they also are located in Germany, so that was great. And it's basically prefabricated connections, and so they're quick, they're easy to install on the site, and so we could quickly erect most of our simpler framing, which gave us time then to deal with our enabling details. And so shown here, we first wanted to kind of draw out what we thought was our most crucial connections to consider. And so the first is our connection using anchor bolts between our concrete and timber in both a vertical sense and at the angled columns. We also wanted to really carefully consider how we were dealing with the large loads imposed from our articulated dome over our auditorium, which was coming into the CLT panels and the tension ring, along with the rest of our framing. And then finally, we had a very complicated and architecturally exposed 6-member connection along the perimeter of our building. And so from these key enabling details, we really want to focus on one and just take it through the full design process. And so we first took this and we decided that the 6-member connection was the most crucial for us to consider. And so we first took and brainstormed with actually, as an SE team, we took and brainstormed with mentors to really have them sketch and help kind of understand how we thought the forces were, if we wanted them, or how they were flowing through the joint. We then went back by ourselves and further refined the design and kind of how we thought it should look with hand sketches. And then the crucial step was bringing in our CMs. And then this, we showed them the connection detail and basically talked to them about sequencing and how they thought the feasibility of constructing it would work. And so when that happened, they had a lot of input. And so we brought them in, and then we started to do modeling and Revit. And we started with a plate connection, but we were starting to realize it was quite complicated. And the CMs were giving their input that they just didn't think that this was going to be very easy because there were 2 plates. They had a lot of degrees of freedom. And so what we ended up doing was we actually created a much larger joint that would be prefabricated off-site. But the great thing about this system is that we took the complexity of this 6-member connection and we concentrated it in the joint. It could be prefabricated off-site. And so now all the glue lay members coming in have simple cuts, and there's a repetition of 17 times. We actually changed some of our framing to make it larger so that we could repeat more joints because that was actually more economical for us.
As far as the energy analysis is concerned, our site is in Germany, and the building regulations for the energy consumption are strict and will be getting more strict. Currently, it stands at around 45 kilowatt per square meter per year. And after the simulation for after our simulation for the 4 different options for the AEC system, radiant system, cooling panels, AC cooling, and water cooled VRF. We saw that 2 of the systems, radiant and water cooled VRF systems, were almost 36.8 kilowatt per square meter per area of energy consumption. But water cooled VRF system were having major impact on our STD because of the water consumption in the cooling tower. So how did we get so low on our energy consumption? We actually used a lot of schedule topologies. This has to be the occupancy schedule. But we scheduled every single thing in our model. We went for a high temperature cooling and a low temperature heating system, and this is not supply and return. This is the 25 degrees Celsius is when the temperature, it will depend on the atmospheric temperature. And this is the chiller and boiler operations throughout the year. And this is the final results that we got. We have a undercooled hours in a year for like 6.9 hours and underheated hours of 19.7. Undercooled hours are for like 26 degrees Celsius and underheated hours are for the temperatures below 90 degrees Celsius. And like let's talk about the elephant in the room, condensation. When the radiant is involved, it's the biggest issue. As per our simulations, the surface temperature in the building never goes below 17.8 degrees Celsius. And for the worst case scenario, in our building, relative humidity 84, our dew point temperature will be 15 degrees Celsius. So as per the simulations, we are not, we should not be dealing with dew point condensation in our building. But as John mentioned, that simulations can be either 50% or even 100% wrong. So we went for a 3-way motorized mixing valve at each pair of manifolds, and we have an always active ventilation system. And this is the carbon dioxide concentration in various parts of the building, and it's below 900. It's good because it's considered for 100% occupancy at all times. And to get green building ratings, we did daylight analysis as well. We had a lot of facade, south-facing facade, and atrium that's open from the top. And this is the second floor. It's bright.
All right, so moving on to construction management, our big idea is this big positive ripple impact. However, construction, we want to minimize that negative initial impact. So it was actually a kind of a fun, annoying challenge for us because we had to kind of prioritize schedule and impact over cost, which is not something you want to do as a construction manager, but we kind of worked with our team to do it. So first, just taking a look at the material suppliers, we wanted to keep it close. Now, obviously, all the materials may be shipped in from other countries. However, we wanted to minimize the transportation of our materials, as well as using the CLT manufacturers that are frequent in Germany. Site access. So we have a pretty, we have a lot of options for our site access. However, once we get closer within Weimar, there's a lot of cobblestone roads that are kind of narrow, so that was the limiting factor with our truck size, as well as we decided to implement an off-site warehouse to increase prefab, also decrease delay in construction as we can get it delivered to the warehouse a little bit earlier than it would need to be delivered to site, and it decreases our on-site impact. So most of the traffic would be coming from this yellow dot, which is our off-site warehouse, to the green, which is our site.
As you can see here, we have a main pedestrian floor. We have a lot of people going around our site since it's located in a park. So in order to address this issue and also like to reduce the maneuver on site, we decided to create on the north side of our building a temporary road, a one-way temporary road. Another important decision was to actually implement a parking lot outside our site, and so thanks to that, we actually managed to reduce our site layout. As Austin said before, we decided to use a warehouse, and thanks to that, we managed to reduce actually our storage area. So we managed to reduce the site layout area of 14%, which was really important for us, and it was in line with our big idea that was to reduce our construction impact.
So taking a look at our site logistics, we have a phase one, which is our concrete base, and this is something that we really needed to focus on because if we didn't get this right, the rest of the erection plan would just simply not work. So, Itan said we have one-way traffic to minimize risks. We also have 3 trees on site that we spoke with our owners, and unfortunately, they wanted us to save it. It was a huge pain for us, but we found a way around it, having all of them outside of our site fence. In our phase 2, you can see our crane location there. We actually implemented a kind of a pros and cons with 1 to 2 cranes as schedule and impact was our main focus. However, due to safety risks and just we wanted to minimize our site, rather than a belief that 2 cranes were going to save us. We decided to stay with 1 crane. 2 more things I want to point out is one, the black fence on the north side, or on the east side, close to the Ilm River, is going to be a special fence in order to really protect the Ilm River and the heritage site around from construction runoff as the site is sloped this way.
So this one is the main equipment selection. So we decided to use a mobile crane because of the small size of our building. And the 2 main points to take in consideration was the heaviest element that in our side was a CLT slab. And the second consideration was regarding how far away we had to move this element. So as we can see in this one, the technical was taken into consideration. And those ones instead are other type of equipment that we decided to use in our site. We decided to use, our main point was actually to try to reduce as much as possible the duration of our project. And that's why, for example, we use a concrete pump instead of using like a concrete bucket. That was obviously for reducing the duration of casting the slab and the column.
So we spoke with our architect really early on and really tried to push this idea of prefabrication in design. And luckily Sylvia was really for it, and she really took it upon herself with minimal actually advice from us. And she designed this so that we had minimal panels that could be repetitive, 4 different types for the interior, which made it easier for us to expedite our schedule, as well as repetitive, just quality of installation. If you're installing the same thing, it's a lot easier to get it right. Here's just a breakdown of each panel and how they look like.
Continuing with this idea of using polyline around our building instead of having circular panels, we decided to use prefabrication even for the curtain walls around our panels. And we spoke with the MEP and the architect because we wanted to not affect like the energy efficiency of our building for the MEP, and we also didn't want to affect the aesthetic of our building for the architect. And in the end, we managed to find 4 different types of panels, and this is an overview of the panels. After doing that, we also spoke. We saw potential also to do the same for our CLT slab. So we spoke with our structural engineer about that, and we also used the fact that we have a radial grid. And thanks to that, we were able to actually do the same kind of process, and we managed to find 7 different types of prefabricated CFD slab. And this is an overview of how the different panels are in the different floors of our building.
So one thing actually that's really beneficial for construction is that with this radial grid, we can use the idea of beam construction with the beam and structural crews coming around in a radial fashion, followed by the slab crews, so that each crew is only focusing on either the columns and the beams or the slabs, so that they really understand and they improve every single time on the connections and make sure that this slab, even though it is prefab, is as solid as a full concrete or a CLT slab. Schedule is the big thing that we try to focus on because we really wanted to minimize this negative impact. First of all, this is our winter schedule. We enclosed in the 2nd of February, and our project completion was This was because we really wanted to minimize the schedule being in the high flood risk part of the year. So we first of all tried to expedite it like that, and we included several timely matters like testing and commissioning the whole MEP system before the first occupants. And we actually are originally planning to turn the building over before our labs are needed to be used by our owners. Through prefabrication in many aspects of our building, we were able to minimize the schedule impact and therefore minimizing our negative impact, which actually totaled to about 7 days. So then here's our actually expedited schedule, which is really nice because not only were we able to turn it over even quicker, but also we were able to enclose it even quicker so that we didn't have to worry about snow risks in the winter. Also, we did not expedite the concrete connections because we really needed to make sure those were good, so that we could build up the erection plan correctly. Awesome. All right, so we'll just take a look at our 4D model. So we went through many iterations. We looked at lift construction and floor by floor, and just how this building was prefabbed and how our structural engineers used it. We decided to go by floor erection sequence. Now we gave special attention to the first floor 1 meter concrete connections to timber, as well as including temporary support for our cantilever out is until the floor one above was complete. And in addition, we also had extra time for the auditorium structure on the second floor because that was just a very complex connection, and we wanted to make sure that was correct because that is where most of the vertical loads are from green roof, as well as the third floor, the second floor.
After that, we will consider now the cost estimation. Through mentor meetings and our research, we estimated and we established that our cost estimation was going to be around 7 million euros. And as you can see from the pie chart, the two main sections that were the most expensive were the services and the shell. This is because we wanted to integrate as well as possible our building to our environment, and also because we didn't want to affect the air quality to the environment and to the park. So we wanted to have the best air quality possible to our emission system. And this one is actually our TBD evolution during spring, winter and spring quarter. And as we can see here, for example, after winter presentation, we decided to change our structural system due to the flood. So initially we wanted to avoid water to enter our building, but after the winter, after some feedbacks, we decided that actually water was going to enter in our building no matter what. So we decided to change from CLT structure to a CLT plus concrete structure, and that's why the actual activity increased.
Let us now take a look into the life cycle cost analysis. This chart shows how each discipline are able to have an impact on the life cycle cost analysis. This analysis tool was very helpful and crucial to make crucial decisions because it provided valuable feedback to each discipline. Here we can see our risk management methodology. We took those steps to identify the cost of risk. We started with a risk identification, went over to a risk evaluation, where we researched the probabilities as well as the severities for each risk. After that, we recognized that our life cycle risk surcharges are very high, and we implemented risk strategies. The outcome of these risk strategies can be seen here. We were able to lower the probabilities and the severities for very crucial risks that are highlighted by name. Even as well, our risk cost decreased significantly. Here we can see the life cycle costs by category: construction costs, financial costs, operating maintenance, risk surcharges, and replacement costs. The development shows that especially the construction cost as well as the operation and maintenance cost made some significant changes. This is majorly based on the increasing level of detail during our project period. Here we can see the distribution of the lifecycle costs, especially the owned charges. Our total lifecycle costs are 15.6 billion. We can recognize that our employee, the caretaker, as well as the supply and the maintenance of the technical elements are major cost categories at our building.
Let's talk about the STV evolution. We had certain targets for our carbon emissions, water, and energy for our particular site. And most of the targets we achieved except water, because even though we employed many water saving methods, we were not able to achieve it. Probably we needed rainwater harvesting, but at a point it was a very big project because in Lima we don't need water harvesting. And this is a combined TVD, STV, and LCC evolution. And we had this variation is percentage-wise from individual targets. And finally, you can see that most of the targets were achieved or better.
We will now take a look into our rent development. We started with very high rent, and it was way too high, to be honest, and we had to figure out several strategies how to reduce it. The first solution we came up with that we replaced our traditional server room by a cloud-based solution. The second way of reducing our O&M costs came up when we were calculating the purification costs of our building. This chart shows the cost comparison of traditional stuff versus cleaning robots. See one here. It can be seen that the costs for traditional stuff exceed the cost for the sum of the initial cost and the maintenance cost for the robots after 5 years. On the other, so we try to reduce our O&M charges on the one hand, and on the other hand, we try to earn additional income through several other strategies. For example, we're renting our auditorium 5 times per year for conferences. Another example is our cafe. Even though our costs for staff are rather high in Germany, we can earn some money with it and decrease our rent by 3.6%.
So as we spoke about how our building integrates with the sun, we proposed this adaptive facade on the south side of their building. And what it does, it changes the angle of PV shading panels depending if the sun hits them or not. That way we can gain as much energy as we can, but at the same time when the sun is not there, the elements are horizontal, so they don't block the view for the user. So in order to make this potentially complex solution easier to construct and to work better, we use parametric design. So we introduced different disciplines input to really develop how it could work. So that CMs had an impact of number and size of prefab panels, so that we can easier see how to balance the amount of energy that we get and at the same time the cost. So we could explore an infinite number of options. From these, we chose 3 that we further researched and compared, looking at the user experience and the energy production. And from these 3, we chose 1. So thinking about the social sustainability in our building, we thought, how can people get productive there? That's why we asked 150 students which kind of spaces make them more productive. And valuable data for us that they really highly rated the semi-enclosed spaces compared to completely open ones. Also, evenly distributed was if they preferred designated space or to change the space every time and sit in a different spot. That is why we proposed a flexible space that still has the visual border so that it can be assigned to one group, but at the same time it's not limited. So we incorporated structure and we proposed a gray serving board that can slide along these wooden beams and change depending on what the group needs from that space. That way it integrates more with the user and it allows for more options.
All right, so just taking a quick look at our landscape, we really wanted to actually take advantage of this lifecycle financial manager in a way that we actually kind of felt the past presentations had.
Yeah, so we were thinking about leveraging our PPP contract, and we were by implementing landscaping design surrounding for our building. Because we have no money for to pay for this initial construction cost, we leverage our PPP contract so that our public partner will cover 100% of the initial cost, and the maintenance operation cost will be shared 70 to 30%. These are common shares. Additionally, I wanted to add over here that our facade we talked about increased our rent as well. So here we'll come back to that later.
Yes, we really wanted to be local and to really emphasize the traditions of this site. We looked into ideas of Bauhaus, of a school of building. So we wanted to promote this space where students can physically create products and get creative together. That is why our makerspace, the double-type room placed in the center of the building, promotes innovative solutions. Students can use 3D printers, laser cutters, and in order to get the economical and sustainability of this solution, we want to provide classes that would allow the community to visit the space to explore innovative solutions in the evenings or during the weekends so that the building is still occupied. We also wanted to propose industry membership to create this connection that would be very useful for students and that the companies would benefit from it as well.
Well, let's have a look back to the rent. Here we are. It was possible for us to further decrease our rent by renting space in our maker space to the community, and we can figure out right now our final rent. From the owner's perspective, we were able, through all these strategies, to reduce our rent by 12.5%. Let's now leave the owner's perspective and go over to the investor's perspective. This is the cash flow of our project, and we can see that our break-even is after year 2045, so after 20 years. So we can provide 5 years of profitability in our project. What else can we see in this cash flow? We can see our major replacement schedules. For example, in here, in 2048, we scheduled the replacement of our ceilings as well as our photovoltaic batteries, and this has a major input. The graph is stagnating for a while. The same we can see over here in the chart for our debt service cover ratio. The highest, first of all, we always can guarantee that we cover the required level of 1.25. So our ability to cover our debt service is always very good. You can see the major replacements are in 2040, 2045, and 2048, as I mentioned before.
Let's look at the green building ratings. We actually went for both LEED and BIM, and as per the credit points, we estimated that we can easily get gold for the LEED and excellent rating for the BIM because of the constants related to the UNESCO heritage site. We couldn't one up the whole system.
And as a final summary of our integration, we just wanted to summarize a few aspects within our building. Now, this legend of integration actually did come from our original design of a Ripple. However, because we're a global team, and if we were to continue as a business, we would be doing it at different locations. We would use this framework and the integration with the PPP contract to do it no matter what site we have, and this would be able to be transferred no matter what the elements or the obstacles that we have. So, as a final conclusion, we would like to say thank you for joining us on this presentation, and we will open this to questions.
Thank you, River team. Any comments and suggestions? Yes, Matt.
I thought that was excellent. I thought that was outstanding in a lot of ways. It was a really clear presentation. You all obviously like each other. That comes through. Practice quite a bit, so yeah, maybe all right. So, I think a lot of people probably say the same thing. So I'm going to ask a structural question, and I'm borrowing a question from Greg from 15 years ago on my projects, which had kind of similar structural items actually. If I understand the system correctly, it kind of wants to, the building as a whole, in a section sort of kind of wants to bend like this, right? And I might have missed it, but it's got in-plane tension force at the top, and then at the bottom, it also kind of wants to kick in. And
Wait, are you trying?
at the top and at the bottom, and maybe I misunderstand the system, that's kind of what I thought I saw, but maybe I didn't get it graphic. It's just gonna be you and me talking.
No.
So,
They didn't do their free body diagram as part of it.
okay, so maybe that was it. And then, so then on a related note, at the bottom, where it comes in, and you've got this coming into the top of the concrete here.
Yeah.
That slab's got uplift, which I love hearing discussion on that. I'm working on a project now where we're going through the exact same process. That was really nice. But a question I had was, I know it's a meter, but if you raise that slab up, it would do two things. Like it would come closer to kind of balancing that force, and then you'd reduce the uplift. And so I was curious if you guys looked at maybe optimizing that. I know the ground floor level is where it wants to be, but I didn't know if that was part of the discussion.
So we, in the future, we could look into that. We didn't because we were really struggling with our floor-to-floor height. So I guess for us, the optimization was more in the floor-to-floor height. But I would say that we probably would need to do further analysis because that is a huge force coming into that. And I'm not quite, you are right that maybe there was a more optimal solution than the wall we currently have. But yeah, that's something to look into the future. But for us, the optimization was what the cost showed with our, because of the height limitation for us, and our really high water table, we were really trying to get the floor heights to be kind of healthy for the building.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I would say that what you're talking about is the sloping columns, right? Just put attention into the slabs. But I don't know if you noticed, but their structure over the auditorium is actually tension compression.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that was the detail. We didn't go into it in detail. We spent a lot of time actually with Greg working on it. And so that was the segmented dome. And so we plan to use cabling so that we can adjust it so that if it settles, we had a long discussion about that, kind of the best way to adjust it. So that was one that we came up with, and we were hoping to integrate that in already into some of our prefab connections, so that we just have holes left for the cabling, so that we could adjust it once it's constructed. Because we know our stands are good, but they're not that good. So.
Yeah, everybody's saying, oh, it's sagging. Well, turn it the other way.
David.
For me, this project is kind of the perfect representation of decision-making in design. I mean, everything that we all do as designers, whether you're an architect, an engineer, life cycle manager, everything that we do in design and engineering is about making decisions. And I think, it kind of started when we were at the winter presentation when you're picking ripple or link, and that major decision kind of drove you in one certain direction. But even, from, beyond that, taking a look at the very earliest decisions, how you invented the app to help the owner and maybe, crowdsource decisions, all the way through the development of structural details and looking at options and making decisions around that, to identification of risks and mitigation strategies from life cycle cost management point, really highlighted the team's commitment to making decisions. And so I thought that was a really wonderful representation, really from start to finish of decision making through design. And I think furthermore, it kind of, one example that I caught on where what seemed like a constraint actually turned into an opportunity when the shear walls all of a sudden came up through that central collaboration space. An initial reaction might be, oh my gosh, that's terrible for design. But when you have an open mind in decision making and figuring out what's best for the project, you actually realize that those walls coming up through can create positive opportunities at the end of the day. So I commend the team for a very transparent, collaborative decision-making process.
Yes, Greg.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun watching the structure develop.
You can see
But I didn't get a chance to go through the rest of the pages because I really enjoyed everything about it. The architect designed something, the application, and the contractor went along with it. Wow. You just said that. It's amazing. But there were a lot of really good things about this time, the integration of the time, and everybody helping everyone else solve problems, that I think really comes through in my.
Very good. Yes, Nada.
I just wanted to say that the graphics were really good and the structure was really nice to present. There's some plans, completely visual. There's also this really nice HVAC graphic explaining everything really nicely. So yeah, that was really well done. Just one question, because when I'm looking at this, I just see this sound poles connecting to the wall panels. It kind of seems like this thermal pitch over there.
Underneath the.
Yeah, just over there.
Underneath.
Seems like the sound comes.
Are you talking about here or
Yeah.
these ones?
No, yeah, just over here in the corner.
Here.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, it's right here. It seems like those pop up or those bounds that come into this internal funnel.
I think everything there is CLT, right?
Yeah.
So but these are all good.
Okay. Those are cool there.
Yeah, so it's an installation in itself. So they actually looked into the thermal bridges a lot and quite minimized them, like a lot. Yes.
I like your spatial integration in this project. I think this building really works well with the spaces outside and inside and integration. And you can, from here, you can see into the building, you can see green wall going up. So it's really well integrated. And what I would have liked to have seen, we had this huge spread of all the existing buildings. And then there was this green plane where this should have been placed. And it would have been perfect, but it's really well.
Come back next week.
I look at it in 15 minutes. It's very important.
Yes.
You did one thing in your presentation that was fantastic, the simultaneous use of architectural, structural, and energy. It's, we always are trying to do that. That's what Revit was created to do. So we can look at everything at once. And in a presentation format, you came with a brilliant way to do that. And then you really helped us follow what we were doing. Just to build on that, I think every part of the presentation, it was clear there was a high amount of collaboration across the disciplines. So the detailed structural discussion, we went through that collaboration. So the detailing process, the prefab discussion, talking about sort of really just across the board, really.
Quite that level of detail before is, I would say, like seeing layouts within a shaft and seeing all those things. It just like screams to me like really integrated process where what you guys are doing, you're getting to that high level of detail that you can actually inform your design later and stop and reduce your kind of redoing of work. And it seems like something that's really much more realistic and the possibility of kind of preventing yourself from having these domino effects where maybe your shaft has to grow later in the design or in the construction documents, and then there's a domino effect that everyone has to deal with. And I think you guys, if you're getting to this high level of detail nice and early, you're kind of really avoiding that kind of issue. And I think that is really excellent to see, especially those structural details come through and see it go from sketch to modeling. It's really great. And to see that you guys ended up speaking with the CM to help increase.
Yeah, it was an awesome suggestion to pull out the members from the drawing so that the cuts will be simpler, and that was really what we ended up going with. So.
Seeing all those things together, I was actually taking a follow because sometimes you hear the architecture problem in the same area and you hear it like 10 minutes later and you're like trying to connect it. So it was really nice to see that just for my own simplicity. I guess the one thing I wanted that in a high level of detail, I would like to see a lot more about this green roof. Because I have a feeling there's not quite enough going on to come to that green roof. So I think that would have been a nice detailed study for next week. I guess the adaptive facade, I think the data input that's very design is the really great approach. Like I said, I warned you about how difficult it might be to involve moving parts in an exterior facade in a very humid location. It might be a pretty big challenge, but I think overall this is a building that we really, I guess it feels feasible. That's one of the most things that it feels real.
Anna and go.
I'm
not gonna say anything bad about it because I absolutely loved it. I think you guys raised the bar both in the choreography. I do love this better than the other concept, especially since the people went from square to round. And I think from an structural point of view, it's an attractive building. I really like to go into that building. I really want to go. I'm impressed with the adaptive facade. The way that you connected the building with the community, even just with the makerspace that tied up to the idea of where the tradition was. The one thing on the green book, I would like to make sure that since you are giving that space back to the park, that is actually accessible. Because if the only access is to the inside, it really is not going to be as used as it could be. And one comment for all the construction managers that I've seen through the whole day, do you usually complain about how tight your site is and that how little you are trying to make it? 90% of the sites in which I've worked in my 20 years career in construction, the site matches the building footprint. So talk about site constraints. You have space, you have space to move or to put a pen outside your building footprint, you have plenty of space. So no more complaints.
Next week.
Yes, amazing presentation. Everything from color coordination and like the level of detail, everything like the presidency was fantastic. I really like the modern implementation of Clubhouse to the makerspace. And for me, like user surveys, did you really survey 150 students? I'm like,
Yes.
the time, right?
Yeah.
I got the groups.
It was 7 countries. Their age range was 20 to 30, I believe.
And,
18 to 30. Yeah.
I'm from India, so I think that makes everything.
One minor little thing that I felt a little bit of the architectural floor plans were a little underdeveloped, but I'm not complaining because we got tons of 3D renderings and maybe there's the future, like maybe in the future we don't even have floor plans. It's not for the users or the owners. And one thing that I'm not blaming you, I'm blaming the industry. For me, it was a little ironic to see the 3-point scale bias. The on time, 24 hours late, and more than 24 hours late. So where is that aside? Right? Like 24 hours early, or more than 24 hours early?
Diary is a summary of your past diary, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Page taken.
I misunderstood that.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, last word. No, Dan.
I just want to, I really like the presentation. I think you did a great job. At the risk of bringing in a new profession next year, I'm glad that you, I think this is the first group that is actually fairly successful to develop the landscape. It's an important site. I've actually been there, so it really is a beautiful site. But I love the way you integrated the steps in. One sort of little pivot I would give you is wood on the ground floor where there's landscape next to it is really tough. The sprinkler systems will, if you're going to do any havoc to the wood itself, so you might want to rethink your material choice on the ground floor. But other than that, I really like the sprinkler.
Thank you. Love.
Well, I want to congratulate you on one of the most convincing presentations that I've heard over the years in this class. Very convincing. You were very smart to start with your explanation of your understanding of the transparency challenge. That sort of set up things. I was also very impressed with not pushing it too far, but really understanding what determines the issues that determine the HVAC operation, the scheduling, and stuff like that. Okay. Also, I was very impressed with the understanding of essentially giving the attention to all the issues related to cost estimating, construction cost estimating, risk, and life cycle costs. You covered the territory there. And of course, there is a lot more work that you would have to do before the door is closed, in fact, in construction. But hey, great job.
Thank you.
And thanks to the